are simple. At least that's how my brother sees it. Number 1, avoid populated areas at all costs. Number 2, always wear gloves and a dust mask. The virus can survive on surfaces for up to 24 hours. Never touch anything that hasn't been disinfected. And the last rule, my brother's favorite. Take what you need and never look back.
There's only so much food in the world. Can't buy toilet paper right now, so what happens when there's no more?
You break the rules, you die. You make an exception, you die. You follow them, you die. Maybe.
COVID. Everyone's talking about it. It's such a hot topic right now. And like most people right now, I'm stuck at home trying to figure out how fucking long this is going to last for. It's not like I socialize, visit my grandparents, or even go outside very often, but I like having the option there to ignore. But here we are, at what seems to be the opening credits of every movie set in a post-apocalyptic dystopian garbage dirt world. And it is here, at the end of an era in our worldwide society, I decide to start a YouTube channel to talk about movies. You know, I have a very important and different opinion on these things because I'm a straight white guy in my 20s. And if you're a straight white guy in your 20s in this moment of global pandemic, then you too are probably forcing your girlfriend to watch you replay The Last of Us on PlayStation. Or, like many others, you choose to turn off the news and watch a movie like Outbreak or Contagion because this fucking dumpster fire ain't burning fast enough for your attention span. Look, my point is, the only reason I'm talking about the film I'm going to talk about today is because it's timely. I made a thumbnail and a provocative clickbait title of a celebrity name all to take advantage of this horrible situation. So let's get into it. So today, I'm talking about a 2009 film that follows a group of 4 as they road trip across America, searching for the remnants of the life they once knew. The lead male, a gun-loving hothead, and his nerdy smart-ass sidekick who live by a set of rules to survive the infected, are joined by some love interest and a younger female who is still naive to the way things are now. I am, of course, talking about Carriers. I'm talking about the film Carriers The film opens on old home video of a family playing at a beach, evoking happy childhood memories, and then, with a pretty cool transition, takes us to the present day. The world has been ravaged by a virus that seems to have originated from China. The only difference from the current COVID-19 situation is that everybody is vulnerable, and if you get it, you break out into a blistering rash, and shortly your entire body is just one giant fucking scab, and it leads to certain death. So it's just a couple months down the road for us, really. We're probably just a few short weeks away from this, yeah. Then we are introduced to our crew of 4. Christopher Pines is Brian. He's a bit of an arrogant asshat who thinks he knows best for everyone. He's kind of like Pine's James T. Kirk, minus the charm and high-level IQ.
Crap piece of shit.
Lou Taylor Pusey plays Danny, Brian's younger brother, whose bright future has reached a sudden end thanks to the outbreak.
You got a scholarship to go to Harvard.
Yale. It was Yale, actually.
That doesn't really matter, does it? Little something shut the place down before freshman orientation. How's that for a knee slapper?
I'm not sure how long it's been since the collapse of society, but I know Brian has already resorted to drinking his own urine.
Ah, warm piss. Tastes like piss.
And he loves it. The brothers' plan is to go to the abandoned beach resort they spent so many summers at growing up. Because everybody loves going to the fucking beach during a global pandemic.
Like, it's really messing up with my spring break. What is there to do here other than go to the bars or the beach, and they're closing all of it? It's really messing I think they're blowing it way out of proportion.
Joining them on this trip is Bobby, played by star of many great films, most notably Cheaper by the Dozen, Piper Perabo. Bobby is Brian's girlfriend. and she doesn't have much of a backstory other than that.
You know, you're always doing whatever the hell you want.
That's why you love me.
And then rounding it up, we got Agent 13 herself, Emily Van Camp, as Kate, who is a girl Danny only sort of knows, and maybe has a hard-on for.
Danny, tell your girlfriend to get her shit together.
I'm not
my
his girlfriend.
Her backstory, she's always checking public telephones, trying to find a line so she can reach out to her
The
family.
phones are dead.
So I just gotta try to get in touch with my parents. They're in Intel. You don't know that? I don't. Where were they? Their cruise ship was quarantined in Paris.
A cruise ship, you say? Oh yeah, no, they're probably fine. Carriers has a more realistic and somber take on the viral outbreak apocalypse movie, which means instead of turning into zombies or some shit, the infected just die, despite the marketing really trying to make it look otherwise. This wasn't a very established cast and was actually filmed in 2006 and was shelved by the studio until current internet punching bag J.J. Abrams' 2009 Star Trek reboot came out, making the Pinester more relevant than he has ever been. And he's gonna have to fucking murder someone to trend this high again. That notoriety got the film a limited theatrical release worldwide. And while the film's budget isn't public, it seemed to perform moderately well internationally, having the most success in Spain, the home country of the writing-directing brother duo David and Alex Pasteur, this being their first feature together, and having gone on to have very successful careers in film and television. Continuing on with our group of dim-witted survivalists, let's call them the Beach Babes, because they go onto the beach. They bring their stolen Mercedes to a standstill and they spy an SUV blocking the road up ahead.
Hey guys!
Oh my, it's Chris Maloney! What's someone from SVU doing with that SUV? Naturally, the crew is suspicious, and they perfectly replicated my experience last week trying to leave the parking lot of the supermarket with a bootload full of toilet paper.
My daughter and I, we ran out of
Toilet paper.
I'm sorry we can't help you. Now move your car. Look, all we need is just a little...
Toilet paper.
I'm sure you do. You and everybody else. Stay where you are. We can change you for it. We got food and water.
Ryan, we have more than enough.
More than enough? How do you know that?
Maloney plays Frank, the caring father of a little girl who, if I could be frank, has got a bad case of the Rones.
She's got it.
Shit!
The Beach Babes get out of there quicker than the fall of the stock market, but similarly, they crash. With their car totaled, they decide to trade some of their toilet paper and gas in exchange for Frank's car.
Alright, put your masks on, guys.
Okay, pretty sure those aren't N95 masks, you guys. Those are just dust masks, which we all know literally won't do anything to stop, from breathing in highly contagious airborne particles.
Frank Holloway.
Frank wants to go to a CDC pop-up center he's heard has a cure to save his little girl. Brian calls bullshit. Then we learn that before all this, Danny must have been an Uber driver, because he has a terrific idea.
I got an idea.
So all the viruses in the back seat here, that's good. You're all good up the front there?
After every passenger, I spray on the back.
Fantastic.
The Beach Babes then bleach the bugger out of the car, and Bobby tries to build a reassuring connection with Frank's kid, Jody, who the tween girl in your life may recognize as a young Kiernan Shipka, who plays Sabrina on that Netflix Sabrina the Witch gritty reboot chilling adventures of show that they keep recommending that I watch. The next day, the gang all roll on into a nice little town full of abandoned hope. Bags and boxes of dead bodies just left decaying in the streets as order fell. We arrive to the CDC pop-up center Frank was headed to. As they prepare to scope it out, Jody doesn't want her dad to leave.
Alright, I'm
be back before you can say Captain Feathersword.
Captain Feathersword.
Whoa, nice Wiggles reference. Bobby volunteers to stay behind to keep Jody company.
I'll stay with her.
The rest explore the pop-up hospital and come across a doctor with the last of his child patients and learn that the so-called cure they had was a bust.
What are you doing to these kids?
And the doctor is Jim Jonesing it.
What's in the punch?
Potassium.
Defeated, the gang leaves. Back at the car, Bobby is joking around with Jody until Jody starts choking around on the floor. Bobby panics and forgets to practice social distancing. That's the face I make when a joker passes me in the park and they sneeze. Yeah, you better run. Bobby freaks as she notices everyone coming back outside, but she manages to play it cool, despite the uncoolest of things happening.
What happened?
Nothing.
Then, a major turning point in the film happens.
Daddy.
Jody
Number 1 or number 2?
Number 2.
needs to take a big old dump. Too weak to walk, Frank must carry his daughter to the nearest public toilet. He's hesitant to leave, knowing he and his daughter will be abandoned in a town with nothing left and nowhere to go. And that is the last we see of them. So, I've written myself into a bit of a corner here, and I've already exhausted all of my jokes comparing this movie's dramatizations to today's climate. I don't know what more I can say about this. I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's well shot and directed, and the production design is good, and all the actors are doing great. But I just do not like the ending of the film. So let's just fast forward through the rest of the film. So the Beach Babes keep traveling for a bit, run into some trouble. They find out Bobby has become sick. They abandon her because that's one of their rules. This pushes Brian over the edge. He goes crazy, shoots some people, he gets shot, and later he too is revealed to be sick from contact with Bobby. And ultimately, it comes down to Danny being forced to take Brian out. And Danny and Kate make it to the beach, and we are left with a voiceover describing an empty shell of a childhood memory. Danny questioning what it was all for, none of it being worth it because his brother's not there. Look, yeah, a pretty depressing ending. Putting the critical hat on for a second here. So this film can be labelled as a dystopian horror about the loss of humanity and the fall of society in the face of an unbeatable virus. But in a film about the loss of humanity, what is carrying the audience through? Many films with similar themes follow the structure that would be the Frank and Jody story. You know, a guardian type figure guiding a younger person to safety in a world gone mad, with the hope that a future generation can rebuild a better tomorrow. I suppose we can surrogate the relationship of Brian and Danny into this trope, but let's compare the ending to those similar in Children of Men and The Road. The death of the guardian comes as a sacrifice, made for the younger, more innocent one, in hope that they can carry the flame of humanity, so to speak. That hope is what carries the audience through. Children of Men and The Road end in such a way that you can distill hope for the surviving characters, and that the guardian's sacrifice was worth it. Better still, the end feeling of uncertainty can be interpreted either optimistically or pessimistically. And look, all three of these movies end by the beach or the ocean, as many movies do. We can see this as symbolism for a new horizon, the end of a journey, but the start of a new chapter in a character's life. Comparing back to Carriers, if Brian is the guardian figure to Danny, then his death does not come as a sacrifice. Brian goes down unwillingly.
The ocean, you and me, one more time. You remember how it was, huh? Hitting those waves before everything turned to shit.
He wants to stay with Danny and make it to the beach, not caring about the rules they established anymore.
It's what we decided.
I'm dying, Danny. I don't give a fuck about the rules.
And Danny's end resolution is not that Brian died for him to be here, but that he murdered his brother for nothing and will always be alone now.
My little brother. I taught him everything he knows.
A tragic resolution. This ending can only be taken pessimistically. but it acts like it's fake, doing this ooh soft voiceover with a fade out and ooh at the beach.
We made it. Two strangers with nothing left to say. I don't know what'll happen next. I don't know how long I'll live, but I know I will be alone.
Look, I can appreciate this movie trying to tell a more tragic ending without hope, but we don't get the catharsis of a tragedy because it doesn't follow the right arc. There is no rise and fall. There is just a constant fall. Instead of Danny killing Brian, maybe a threat from earlier show up and cause a ruckus, and Brian saves the others, in so sacrificing himself somehow. Or would it have been better if nothing changes, except something as simple as Danny looking out to the beach and we see a bloody helicopter approaching in the distance? I don't know, hope, you know? Or would it have been better if Brian doesn't get killed at all? Danny realizes earlier that without his brother, what's the point? And he takes Brian to the beach, and they sit down next to each other along the sand, dipping their toes into the water. One last time. And Danny takes off his mask, and they smile at each other, knowing that they made it together. Now that's a fucking tragic ending. I have spent way too long thinking about this movie that barely anyone has seen. And look, it's not a bad movie. And if you seem interested, sure, check it out. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm wrong. I probably am. If anyone has actually made it to this point in the video, hit the like button and subscribe, you sad sack of shit. This is my first video. Will I make more? What will they be? No idea. Still trying to figure that out. Peace out.